Me and Rachel were parked on the porch of that old summer house, you know, the one where we'd racked up endless summers, clinked glasses over winds, cracked up together, and tackled some rough patches. It was like we were saying a quiet goodbye, not just to the place but to a whole chapter of our lives. A warm breeze rolled in off the ocean, carrying that salty smell mixed with Rachel's light perfume, a scent that's been stuck in my head forever. But right then, it didn't hit me with the usual comfort. Something heavy hung in the air between us, buzzing with stuff we weren't saying out loud. Rachel was fiddling with her wine glass, giving the red stuff a lazy swirl without even really looking at it. She had her eyes locked on the horizon, but I could tell her brain was a million miles away. Back in the day, silence with her used to feel easy, like when we were first hitched, but now it was thick, loaded with pauses and things we couldn't spit out, just waiting for the perfect second to bust loose. I picked up on it, always do. "I've got something to tell you," Rachel muttered, her voice so soft it almost got lost in the waves smacking the shore. I didn't jump or say anything right off. Just sucked in a slow breath and plunked my glass down on the little table next to me. She finally swung her head my way, the sunset painting her face in this warm glow, but those eyes of hers, they were hauling something heavy that spilled the whole story. She froze up for a beat. I clocked how her hands wouldn't sit still, how her shoulders were all bunched up, how her eyes kept darting from me to the floorboards. Deep down, I'd known for years, had it figured out, but she didn't have a clue I was onto her. Before she could get a word out, I flashed this weird little smile and said, "I already know it all." Rachel's breath hitched hard. She blinked a couple times, like maybe she'd misheard me, like her mind was scrambling to twist my words into something else. "Huh?" she stammered, sounding all mixed up and spooked at the same time. I kept my eyes steady on her. Didn't flinch, didn't freak, just stayed cool, like I'd already settled this talk in my head ages ago. Her heart must have been hammering, 'cause mine sure was. What did I know? How'd I figure it out? Did somebody spill it, or had I been sitting on it, biding my time, till now? All of a sudden, that truth hit her like a ton of bricks. The wine, the sunset, that summer house, stuff that should have felt warm and cozy, turned into a chokehold. She was cornered, nowhere left to duck out. I saw the color drain right out of her face. Her whole frame locked up tight, like she was being nudged towards some dark drop-off with no way back. The waves used to calm me down, but now they sounded far off, drowned out by the storm of thoughts spinning in her head. Her chest was heaving quick, shallow little gasps. She opened her mouth to talk, but nothing came. I just watched her, steady as a rock, not mad or bitter, just waiting to see what she'd do next. That quiet stretched out forever, till she finally scraped up the guts to croak, "What are you saying?" Her voice came out all frail, weaker than she wanted, and I caught it. I tipped my head a little, sizing up every twitch on her face, like I'd already mapped out her next move. "You really think I never caught on?" I said, smooth but sharp. "You figure I missed all those sneaky looks, the weird pauses, the quick brushes that were just too slick to call out?" Rachel's mouth popped open, then snapped shut. She tried to pull herself together, but her body was ratting her out, shifting in her seat, eyes sliding away while her brain hunted for an escape hatch. I don't know what you mean," she shot back, but it sounded hollow, like even she knew it was a lame dodge. I let out a short, dry chuckle and shook my head. Wasn't here to mess around or stretch this out longer than it needed to be. "Come on, Rachel, you know damn well what I'm getting at," I said, eyes locked on hers. "Robert." That name hit her like a gut punch. She couldn't hide it, her face twitched, her eyes blinked too long, her breath snagged too sharp, everything I needed to know. She still carried that guilt around. She dropped her head, fingers digging into the edge of her dress. Night was warm, but she looked like she was freezing. That happened way back when," Rachel mumbled, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, I know," I shot back, "and I knew about it even then." Her eyes snapped up to mine, wide with shock. For a split second, it was like her heart forgot to beat. If I'd known all along, why'd I never call her out? How could I just look at her, crash in the same bed, and act like everything was fine? She didn't even have to ask, I could see it on her face, and I answered before she could get the words out. I never threw it in your face, I went on, keeping my tone steady but cutting like a knife, 'cause I figured I'd deal with it my own way. A shiver crawled down her back, I could tell. My voice wasn't hot with anger or dripping with resentment, and that freaked her out more. It was the sound of a guy who'd thought long and hard about how to handle the hurt. I sucked in a deep breath, propped my elbows on my knees, and leaned in a bit. You got any guess what I did, Rachel? She didn't say a word. Just stood there, stiff as a board, like a deer caught in headlights with nowhere to bolt. I spilled it all to Olivia, I said. Her mouth dropped open a little, but nothing came out. She blinked, looking all dazed, like her brain was still trying to catch up with what I'd just dropped. What? She finally choked out after a dead quiet pause. I told her, I said again, not breaking eye contact. Laid it all out for the wife of the guy you stepped out with. Shock ripped through her like a jolt, she looked like she'd been hit by a truck. Everything she thought she knew about that mess, about how I'd handled it, was smashing to bits right there. You told Olivia? Her voice shook, thick with disbelief. She'd always figured I never caught on, or if I did, maybe I'd just let it slide quiet like, out of love, stubborn pride, or to keep our marriage from tanking. But now it clicked, those nights I'd pull away, those long stares into nothing, the little shifts in how I acted over the years. I hadn't forgiven her, not even close. I just picked a different road to deal with the sting. Then a nasty thought slammed into her like a thunderclap. If I'd told Olivia, what went down after that? Her throat knotted up, choking her with dread, but I could see she knew there was more to it. I'm not the type to just wing it, I don't make snap calls. If I opened my mouth to Olivia, I had a plan. And right then, she was scared stiff to hear what it was. Her stomach was twisting itself in knots. She kept her eyes on me, but her head was spinning with old memories and a million questions. Hooking up with Robert was a dumb mistake, a weak moment I knew she wished she could scrub out the second it happened. Far as she thought, that screw-up stayed buried deep. But now it was all crashing down around her, way worse than she ever saw coming. Her chest was heaving fast, and that cozy porch felt like a damn war zone now. Time dragged on slow, every word I tossed out hitting her like a sucker punch. She wanted to fire back, say something to steer this train wreck off the tracks, but her voice was gone. What happened after that, she whispered, so quiet I barely caught it. I let out a little sigh, like I'd been waiting for her to ask that exact thing. Leaning back, I draped my arms over the chair, and for the first time all night, a faint, almost bored smile crept onto my face. You sure you want to hear it? She didn't answer. Part of her was dying to yell yes, to demand the whole story, to kill this gut-eating suspense. But another part, some gut instinct, was already gearing up for a kick in the teeth. I picked up my wine glass, gave it a slow swirl, and then, taking my sweet time, I said, Olivia and me. We started sleeping together. Those words sliced her up like a razor. Her heart skipped, then started hammering like crazy. What? She croaked, voice cracking. She blinked hard a few times, trying to wrap her head around what I'd just said. Her chest squeezed tight, and for a second, I thought she might stop breathing. Me? I just sat there, cool as a cucumber, watching her fall apart like I was reading the weather report. You and Robert had your one-time thing, I said, and you hated yourself for it. But for me, Rachel, it was never about the count. Once, a dozen times, doesn't change a thing. Point is, the second you picked another guy, something in us cracked. Heat rushed up her face, not guilt this time, but pure, pissed-off fire. My words were sinking in deep, heavy as hell, no dodging. You slept with Olivia, she spat out, still reeling. How long? I flashed a half-smile, like I was about to drop the last card in a winning hand. Years. A cold wave washed over her. Years. Not some quick slip-up, not a one-off mistake, not a fleeting lapse, it was a full-on thing, right under her nose. You stayed with me all this time while banging another guy's wife? Her voice was shaking bad. I took a slow sip of my wine before answering, yeah, pretty much the same way you stuck with me after you hooked up with some other woman's man. Rachel shot up out of her chair like a rocket. The night breeze was whipping her hair around her face, but she didn't feel a damn thing except the rage pumping through her. Don't you dare put those on the same level, she yelled, her chest burning like a furnace. I screwed up once. I hated myself for it. It was a one-and-done deal. I didn't flinch, kept my cool. But my eyes? They had something in them she couldn't quite pin down. You call it a screw-up. For me, it was the moment everything flipped. The way I said it sent a chill racing down her back. There was this heavy, done-deal vibe in my voice, like her cheating didn't just spark some tit-for-tat payback, but shifted the whole way I looked at life, at us, at love itself. She looked like she might puke. All of a sudden, the world twisted up on her, like the ground she'd been standing on got ripped away. Then the real gut punch hit. I'd never let it go. Never tried to bury it. Never gave a damn about patching us up. All I wanted was to settle the score, and I damn well did. Her throat clamped up tight. That night wind turned cold against her skin, but it was nothing next to the ice spreading inside her. She stared at me hard, but I wasn't the guy she thought she knew anymore. This wasn't the husband she'd built a life with, not by a long shot. The man in front of her. He was a stranger who'd been plotting his comeback for years. You spent years pulling the wool over my eyes, she said, her voice trembling, so quiet it barely carried, but loaded with shock. You slept next to me, looked me dead in the face, told me you loved me, all while you were with her. I didn't budge, just watched her. My stare wasn't mean, but it sure as hell didn't show any sorry either. Yep, I said, no hesitation. She blinked, totally thrown. Part of her wanted to think I was bluffing, just twisting the knife to match her own hurt. But the way I stayed calm, the cold edge in how I talked, it was no act. This was straight up, no bull truth. My God, she muttered, pressing a hand to her forehead. She looked like she couldn't breathe. Her brain was racing through every second we'd spent together since she stepped out. How many nights did I hold her after being with Olivia? How many "I love yous" did I toss out like they meant nothing? She felt sick, stabbed in the back deeper than she ever thought possible. I hate you, she blurted out before she could stop herself. I let out a laugh, but it wasn't snarky. More like a flat, empty sound, hollow as hell. Yeah, I get that, I said, real simple, and honestly. I don't hold it against you. She glared at me, pissed as all get out, trying to wrap her head around how I could be so damn cold, spilling all this without even twitching. You tore me apart, David, she said, voice steady now but still raw with hurt. I cocked my head a little, like I was chewing on what she said. Then, real slow, I came back with, you ripped me to shreds first. That hit her so hard she actually stepped back. She opened her mouth to argue, but nothing came out, 'cause deep down, she knew I wasn't wrong. A thick, heavy quiet dropped between us, so bad it felt like a weight on my chest. The waves crashing out there. They sounded miles away, like the whole damn world had faded out, leaving just us stuck in that moment. I finally got up from my chair, shoving my hands in my pockets. I stared at her for a good while, and this time my eyes felt different, no fire, no smug grin, just bone-tired exhaustion. This marriage? It's been dead for ages, Rachel. One of us just had to say it out loud. My words hit like a judge slamming a gavel, calling time on something that had been a corpse for years anyway. I saw tears welling up in her eyes, but she wasn't about to let them spill, not a chance. She wouldn't hand me that win. She stuck her chin out, sucked in a big breath, and said with all the grit she could muster, "You're damn right." That caught me off guard, her agreeing, and my eyebrows popped up a bit, but I kept my mouth shut. I just gave her a single nod, didn't bother looking back, and headed inside the house. She stayed out there on the porch, all by herself, wrestling with the weight of what she'd just signed off on. And for the first time, it hit her, there wasn't a damn thing left to patch up. She stood there, eyes glued to the pitch-black horizon. The wind kicked up hard, rattling the trees and making the curtains flap wild in the open doorway. I could still smell that ocean air, but it didn't spark those warm, fuzzy memories anymore, it just felt like a big, empty nothing choking the life out of me. The anger had burned out of her. That first explosion of feeling was gone, leaving behind this deep, dragging tiredness, not just in her bones, but in her soul, the kind you get from living a lie so long you don't even clock it. I shuffled around inside, my footsteps echoing, but she didn't turn to look. She knew it was me. I stopped a ways back, keeping my distance like some polite stranger, though she could still feel me there, heavy in the air. "So what's your next move?" I asked, cutting through the quiet. She didn't answer right off, not 'cause she was clueless, but 'cause she wanted her words to land just right. "I'm outta here," she finally said. I didn't jump in with a reply. Just stood there, soaking it in. Maybe I'd seen it coming. Maybe that's what I'd been gunning for this whole time. "Heading back to the city?" I asked. "Yeah," she said, "but don't think it's to stick with you." There was a hard stop in her voice, like she was nailing shut a coffin that had been half open, till now. I let out a soft breath, not shocked, not bummed, just done. "Probably the smartest call," I said after a beat. She shut her eyes for a second, that weight pressing down on her chest. How many years had we flushed down the drain? How many shots did we miss to just sit down, hash it out, or come clean? Too late now. She turned to look at me, and for the first time that night, she caught something new in my eyes. I wasn't grinning or gloating. I was hollow. "What about you?" she threw back at me. I shrugged. "Gonna hang here a few more days, then head back home." Home. That word sounded off, like a bad joke, 'cause right then, she got it, this place was never a home. Just a damn stage we'd been acting on way past the curtain call. She nodded, didn't say another word, then marched inside to grab her stuff. She moved through the quiet hallway, past rooms still littered with bits of a past that felt real as hell a few hours ago. Now. Just ghosts of something that was never there. When she came back to the living room, I was still out on the porch, staring off into nothing. I didn't turn when I heard her coming. Didn't try to stop her. She brushed past me, no rush, like she was soaking up every last bit of it, the chilly breeze, that salty sea smell, the waves crashing, the moonlight bouncing off the porch floor. Then she paused at the door. "See ya, David." I didn't say nothing at first. Kept quiet, till, finally, without even glancing back, I muttered, "Later, Rachel." She stepped out, didn't look over her shoulder. The door clicked shut behind her with a dull thud, and right then, she knew it was over, not just our marriage, but every damn thing she'd once thought was solid.